Tonight, the Sydney train shake-up. Big plans to ease big problems, but will the promises be delivered?
This is 10 News with Sandra Sully and Bill Woods.
It's a major shake-up of our rail network that the government claims will bring much-needed relief for Sydney's long-suffering commuters.
But as always, there is a catch, and it's a big one. Lachlan Kennedy has more on this story. Lachlan, what are the details, and more importantly, when is all this going to happen?
When? Isn't that always the question? It is a 20-year strategy for our railways, and Sydney-siders might well say they've heard such grand plans before, because we have. We are being promised a 60% peak hour increase in trains to the CBD, all pulled together by a second harbour crossing to relieve congestion. But like our trains, it may be subject to delays and might not arrive at all. Welcome aboard one of Asia's high-frequency single-deck trains. Now, imagine riding this in Sydney, because from 2020, City Rail is finally catching up.
No other global city in the world just has double decks. We are the only one.
The North West Rail Link will exclusively run these faster, smaller trains, meaning services every few minutes.
But a 5-minute single-deck service will outstrip, in terms of the number of seats, a 15-minute double-deck service.
But while they'll carry more people, they won't necessarily carry them where they want to go. The $8 billion line will no longer go direct to the city as promised. Commuters will be forced to change at Chatswood.
What the people in the northwest are getting is a shuttle service, a service that will not provide direct connections to the city.
But planners point out putting double-deckers on a new line wouldn't make sense.
It would be a mistake for Sydney to be investing in rolling stock that's outdated.
Over the next 20 years, single-level carriages will also be rolled out to Hurstville and Bankstown. With a new timetable, the government is promising an extra 14 trains an hour to the west during peak, an extra 8 to the southwest, and 12 more per hour along the airport line. Pulling this new plan together is a major piece of infrastructure, a second tunnel underneath the harbour. But there are some big questions that need to be answered. When will it be built? How will it be built? And how much will it cost?
I don't apologise for not giving a date for the second harbour crossing, because you need to do the planning work. Can you tell me anyone that would announce a cost without doing the planning work of a project?
She would have been better off turning up today and saying a dog ate my homework, because this is pathetic.
One body has costed the tunnel crossing at around $10 billion. You might well ask, why make the announcement today if work clearly still needs to be done? That's because the clock is ticking on the North-West Link element of the plan. The government has until the end of next week to ask for expressions of interest to build its new tunnels.
Lachlan Kennedy, thank you.
Well, are commuters buying it tonight? Eddie Meyer is at Milson's Point for the evening peak up. Eddie, what's the verdict so far?
Well, Sandra, the rail commuters we've spoken to are desperately wanting to believe that what they've heard today will actually be delivered. But you'd forgive them for being a little cynical, particularly for something that's got such a long lead time. We've all heard the promises year after year, decade after decade, and the rail commuters here today have all said the same thing. The time for talk is over. It's now time to deliver on improving their daily commute.
Well, it is hopeful in that they are trying to address it. Whether they get there and when they get there and what cost it's going to be, that's a whole different story.
But I'm hoping they're being honest this time.
I can't express how many times I've been late to work because the train's been running late. There's not been enough trains going to and from. So I think it's about time.
Now, we've spoken to a lot of people here this afternoon. The general vibe was that they were pretty positive about what was delivered today, but they also raised a number of myriad problems that they face on a daily basis that plagues their journeys to and from work, and they say that those need to be fixed. The grand plans are all well and good, but small changes every day would make their lives a lot easier.
Eddie Meyer with that report.